Hello all. This video is going to be showing you how I changed the gear cable on my own bike. So right from the very start, don't quote me on this is how you're meant to do it. This video is only just for entertainment purposes and viewing purposes only. That's it. Don't quote me on the correct procedures on how to do it. I'm just going to change the gear cable, the 1 to 3, there's two sets of gears. You've got the 8 sprocket gears at the back of the bike, at the back wheel and the centre hub. Then you've got 3 gears where the pedals are at the crank, your range gears. So it gives the bike a total gear ratio of 24 speed mountain bike. So the 1 to 3 range ratio at the pedals, that gear shifter cable is just frayed and it's stretched. I can't properly select the gears, so it's needing changed. So I went to Halfords and bought one. So I'm no expert on repairing bikes, by the way. It's been a while. I can't even remember the last time we changed the gear cable or not. But I'm going to show you how I do it anyway. So there you go. First thing I'll do is I'll show you the bike and show you the cable. Oh, it's the Carrera 24 speed. The bike, I've had it since brand new. Bought it in January 2008. It's August 2024 now, so that means it's what, 16.5-year-old. All original parts. Custom. Well, when I bought the bike, I got some optional extras added. Like, I got rid of the original seat right away because I don't like hard seats, so I got a nice comfortable seat for a start. So all this was added when I bought the bike as optional extras, because I specified those to be fitted when I buy the bike. Mud guards, nice gearbox seat, drinks holder, bull bars on each side, lights front and rear. Well, that was actually changed throughout the years, and I think the front one's still original. The speedometer, that was also an optional extra. The computer bit here, that was changed. The bracket and everything else, the magnet on the wheel, is all original. Everything's original. I think the only thing I've changed is the tyres, front and rear, and like brake cables and gear cables. You know, just normal service things, repairing punctures. There was one major job that I'd done on it, that needed to be doing on it when I bought the bike. Not overly long after I bought it, maybe 3 or so years after I bought it. It's quite serious because I spotted it just in time. It's the head frame here. It's an aluminium frame. And there was a crack going down there. So this handlebar setup, I've lowered it. So when in braking, it puts a lot of force on here. And I think just being maybe an aluminium frame, there's a crack going right down there, and I spotted it just in time, because if that had broke while I was braking down a steep brae at speed, I wouldn't like to think what would happen. Basically the handlebars would just come right off and it would be a disaster. So I'm glad I spotted it. I spotted it by accident. So straight away I had to take the bike to pieces, send the frame off to metal welding fabrication place that does welding. They welded it up and just that was it. I touched the paint up myself. It's not the perfect match, but it's just going to have to do, like, you know, it's just the way it is. But that was the only major thing that went wrong with it. So from then on there, this handlebar's been put right down to near enough as low as it'll go, because when it's up here and then braking, it puts a lot of force on here, and it's caused this to, I assume that's what's caused it to split and crack. So luckily I caught that in time before it got any worse. Other than that, was a serious fault, that. Very serious. And I think it was only maybe 2-3 years after I bought the bike. So very early on in its day. But everything else went back on, of course, after the repair work was done. I got some paint and just touched it up as best as I can. But anyway, never mind that. Let's fix now. I've kept an eye on it since. So just to make you familiar with the bike that I've got, because as I say, this video is just for viewing purposes only. It's not for a quote. It's not a DIY quote video to show you how it should be done. I'm just simply showing you my bike and what I'm going to be doing with it, and that's it. So that's it final. I'm not going to be quoting this is how you should do it. So anyway, just showing you around the bike. I don't do an awful lot of miles on it anyway. I've kept a log of the miles because the battery's gone flat a few times on the previous one as well. but I've kept a log, so I've got a rough idea of the miles. It's not an overly that high. I don't do very much, to be honest. But the only other thing that's broke is the gear shift number. That broke fairly early on, maybe when the bike was, what, 5-year-old or something. So I don't really know what number it's at. I've never even bothered to replace it. This one still retains the original number, that all works. But anyway, that's the fault. The problem is that this cable here, for the gear shift, for the bottom sprocket, I could just watch the, don't want to be making a mess of the wallpaper. Yeah, so you've got 3 gears here. Your range ones, I presume, I don't know what they're called technically, I just call it the 3 big gears at the front, where the pedals are. Call it range, whatever. But anyway, you know what I mean now. This selector here selects the gears on there, and that's when I'm going to change the cable in. This I've done before. I put a connector block, took the insulation off the connector block and used the metal bit as a kind of like a ferrule, so it's no sharp metal sticking in to the wheel, because at the end of the cable it's quite sharp, so that's just to protect it. I've also changed it. I've actually left the original one on here. This cable's getting a bit weary as well. That's the back selector for the 8 gears at the back on the rear wheel. So 8 times 3, that's your 24 speed. Sram. So it's just a simple gear cable. This cable apparently does both front and rear selectors. So I'm going to wait to get my dad's toolbox. I'm going to wait to make a complete mess of the lobby, probably put oil all over the wallpaper, tear the wallpaper, chip the paint and make a mess of it. I was always a messy bugger when I was a kid, and I still live here. Still living this same house. So no, I'm going to be careful. That's the thing when you're working with a bike, but it's too late to go. It's 9:10 now, so it's getting dark. I'm doing it in the hallway and doing it in the closest. So I'll just do it here in the lobby. It's a messy job. I just recently oiled the chain as well. So, right, let's get the tools and let's get this task done. I just want to get this job done. So, I think a pair of snips wouldn't go amiss for cutting the cable to the correct length. This, by the way, is my invention. Well, I don't know. Let's put it like this. I put this elastic band on the handlebars as a handbrake. I don't know how many other people do that, but all I do know is that I thought of doing this myself. I didn't get this idea from anyone else. I mean, I dare say other people probably may do this, but for years and years and years, probably 25 years now, I thought about doing this, and I've done it ever since. It's elastic bands, it locks the back wheel, stops the bike from, rolling away, falling down or whatever. That's the selectors. Now I'm going to figure out what the outer sheath runs down here. It goes through a guide at the bottom. I think the first thing I might want to be doing is slackening it off. So I need a flat screwdriver so I could feed the cable back through from the where is it now? There's a grommet, I think, it comes off. I might have to actually move the selector. I need an Allen key so I can move the selector down a wee bit so the cable comes through that bit there. I'm not really doing this too clearly for you, am I? Oh, that's another optional extra, and so is a security lock as well. I bought all that at the same time. So I spent a few £100 back then, so it wasn't cheap. Saved up for it, mind you. Worked hard for it and saved up, so. That there is where the cable, I believe, comes through, if I remember correctly. And I need to get an Allen key so I could move this unit down, because at the moment the brake, or this clamp here for the brake, is in the way, so I'm going to have to either move the brake, I think I'll move this down, the gear shift down. After a painstaking look, I managed to find where the Allen keys were. Let's just say I had to pause the video for quite some time. I eventually found the Allen key, where they were, and I found the right one. So I've slackened it off, which basically allows us to drop slightly. Put the light on so you can see it, and so I can see what I'm doing as well. Now, the problem is, I might actually have to move Maybe not. Might be enough room to get a screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver into there to get that cap off. So it's just a plastic cap. Basically, it just unscrews. Nothing really anything significant about it. It's just a cover which decides to drop on the floor and just about get lost completely. But that's all it is. It's just a dust cover. And in there you can see the cable end. So I'm going to feed the cable up through the sheathing, slacken it off first of all at the selector. So I've got to remove the cable, slacken it off. That's just the clamps to cover the end. The cable actually fits onto the selector there with this Allen key there, so you slacken that off. That's what actually clamps the cable. You can see where it's frayed as well. So I've got to get the Allen key into there, slacken that off, also remove the end. That's just to cover the sharp end of the cable. So I've got to remove that and then feed the cable through the sheathing and out that end there. And the plastic bit I've put somewhere safe so it won't get lost. I put it there so it won't go and play hide and seek with me, so I'm going to have to search all over the bloody place to find it. So I've put it somewhere safe. In case I put an Allen key on there, turn it anti-clockwise, so it turns, slacken it off. The size of Allen key, by the way, should you want to know, came out that one there, 3/16. I just took it out there, it seems to fit, so that's the one I'm using, and it seems to be doing the job, so that's that. Now I'll just take a flat screwdriver onto there to remove that. Oh, it's already came off. The reason being is because it just clamps under this clamp like such. Doesn't need to feed through that, but I still have to take that off anyway. Although I could probably just cut it off. Although I'm going to be reusing it, so I'll slacken it off properly. That's a clamp basically for the cable to clamp under. If I can get the camera in there to show you that. That just clamps down. You go in focus, please. Yeah, so that just, when you tighten that up, it just pushes down on this wee clamp, which locks the cable. And that there selects the, you can see it selecting, look. That's what jumps the derails. It's called a derailer. Oh, fuck, damn it. Derailleur gears. So it derails the gears of the gear, so you could select gear. Does that on the back as well. That's a little bit awkward and then kneeling down. Right, so feed this through. There is a wee plastic bit there. The new cable's got to go through there. So we'll get the flat screwdriver onto this, get that off. Take forward, just slacken it off with the flat screwdriver, remove that. That's why I put this on. That's quite sharp. I don't want that left like that, so I just put that bit over the end of it to get rid of that sharp bit. Then it just pulls through, which is done. I'll put this bit in a safe place. So now the gauge goes through here as well. It's with the sheathing, the rubber or the plastic cable cover. You've got to push it through there. So if I push through, so I can't really film through. I can't film and do this at the same time. But if I push this cable, it's going to push through this hole here, which is part of the gear selector. So I'm going to do that now. So I've got to be a bit of manipulating around. This is the adjuster, by the way. So I adjusted that. When you screw this plastic bit, that kind of like puts pressure on the... No, my dad explained what it does. It actually lengthens it. It takes up the slack from the cable, which means you could calibrate the gear shift. So that's what this does. Between that and there. So that's in the down position. It's spring loaded. And basically all the cable's doing is pulling down to derail the gears, to derail the chain of that gear. And there's a ratchet system in there that tells you what gear you're in. So I've just now fed the cable through and pulling it out, and you can see it coming through. So when that happens, the insulation bit, it seems to be snarling. So because this is an old cable, instead of trying to put this frayed bit in through there, I'm just going to get the snips and cut the bad bit off, because it's not going to be getting reused anyway. So what I ended up doing was using these needle nose pliers. These cut the cable a lot better than the snips did, the top side of the insulation. That's where the cable feeds through, this plastic sheathing. So as you can see, the old cable I'm going to have to get rid of before it jogs into someone or trips or scratches something, because it's very sharp. Okay, so I've got to get the cable out here. Nice new cable. So feed the end in, you can see it's sharp. The bit with the ferrule on the end, or the locking bit at the end, that's the bit that goes in last. You feed it through here, through this hole in the selector. First of all, I don't know if it's coming out very well in here, what's going on with the camera. Right, there we go. So you could maybe just see how it's to feed through there. And you get the plastic bit, wherever that's disappeared. There we go. It's difficult to film and do this at the same time, but never mind. The cable goes through there. Difficult doing this one-handed, but just giving you an idea what I'm doing. So basically feeding it through there. So the insulation now that the cable's gone through it, you feed it through roughly in the same pattern that was it before you took it off, before I took it off. So you get the insulation bit goes into this hole there, it feeds in from the top. There's an area, an opening for the cable to go in. You can just see it there, not very clearly, but basically you could maybe see it sliding through there, and then the cable then feeds, this nice new cable then feeds underneath. There is a guide under there, under the crank bit, goes through there as well, and it comes up and into this clamp. So I'll try and show you that. With that fixed, cable going through the correct path, obviously it's very slack at the moment, but I've fed it through there, then I've fed it through this guide. So we hole through there, and it comes up from the hole down there, if you can see it. You just pull on it, it's going to be extremely long because it's got to reach the back. This is a standard cable, and when you're doing this, make sure it's not snagging on anything, that it's all still in situ. Now, if I remember right, this clamp, it just goes under there. And then I tighten it down and just finely tune it. If I remember correctly, you just tune it with this thing here. First things first though, we'll get this clamped. Okay, so I was doing some work on that. It's been a few weeks, well, no, about a week or so, a few days, because I had to order up a new part. The 1-3 selector for the Sram SX4 gear shifter was faulty. So ordered another one up online. It's just arrived now. The old one I took apart, I've no idea how to put it back together again because I can't find any instructions on how to do it. So I think it was probably faulty anyway. So and I can't really find anything online neither to say whether or not this is the correct way of doing it or not, you know, for putting the cable in. So I've just done it the way I thought. I'm sure I've done it before on that bike. It's got to be. But there's a problem with this selector. It was just all out of sync and everything. It wasn't working. Took it apart. No instructions or anything online that I could find as to how to put it together again. So I just ordered up another one. So I'll show you the bits that I'm talking about. This is the parts. So I didn't realise I was going to be getting a cable with it, but I already bought a new cable. But I'm just going to use the one that's in there. It's in situ. I'm not going to upset it. To change it, from what I could only understand, is that it would feed through there. There is this plastic bit that goes, the cover bit that goes over there to stop dirt and stuff going inside the mechanism. And it's got it's the 1-3 left hand side. It's got to be crucial, it's the right side. It's on the left hand side of the handlebars. They are sided, so obviously it's got to be the right side that you get. And it's the 1-3 that's on the left hand side for the front cogs at the front of the bike, and the 1-8 is on the right hand side with the derailleurs at the back wheel. So that's a new one there. The old one I took apart. It's a jigsaw puzzle. I could probably figure out how it goes together, but it's how to adjust it all up. It's difficult. It's very fiddly, very awkward. I just felt a bit, it's always like trying to work on a clock, I presume, so I haven't even went any further with it. It's just all fell to pieces. I've not got any instructions or anything that I could find online that's of any help to me, to help me do it, because I can't figure that one out other than if it would take probably God knows how long, and I certainly don't have the time to do that. But it's probably, well, I don't know why it was messed up anyway in the first place, but the cable went in and it wasn't engaging, so I don't really know how all these bits go exactly, but I believe it's like a ratchet and pawl system. So when you click through the gears, these engage. There's a spring-loaded tensioner on there, so these bits move. Difficult, very difficult to do this and film at the same time, unfortunately. Well, I'm going to show you this because I'm holding the camera with one hand and trying to do this with the other. It's impossible. Easier just doing it this way. Yeah, you might just see them moving. There's a spring against these cam lobes. There is a sort of spring there. You might just make it out. Very faint spring. Trying to get in focus for you. Yeah, there. You might just make it the spring. These go against, put pressure on these like cam lobes. They move as I try to show you. Blooming hell, it's so difficult to do. And there's this sort of gear ratchet mechanism here that must engage with them. You know, when you click the lever, it makes a clicking sound. I think it's got something to do with this. It's like a one-way ratchet system, so it'll lock once it's clicked on or something like that. And there's this plate, and there's this, I think the cable goes through that hole there. So I'm going to feed it through the actual, through this mechanism. You can see the end of the cable, the white bit. You can see the silver end of the cable, which is really that bit there. Well, that's the white bit, and the end goes through there, I believe. This centre screw stroke shaft goes right through the centre of the mechanism. So if we get that off, that's basically the underside. That is that basically. So if you slacken that off, this drops out and everything just falls everywhere, and it just falls to pieces. And then I don't know how to get it back together. So no instructions. So it's basically, I think it was finished anyway. There was a problem with it. So somehow this, when you pull on the cable, it must somehow rotate around this shaft, stroke, threaded bit at the end, the lock being together. Like this would be like a hub, and that'll be a locking bit that locks to this end of the casing there. So basically it's like that, I suppose. It's not very clear because I'm filming with one hand and doing it with the other. Anyway, it's just a pain in the so for the numbers, the display numbers, again it's a gear system that sort of rotates round. This intermediate gear sits in there, well, used to anyway, not anymore, and it engages with the gears on the top of this display gear, if you like. That's the hub for the display gear, that sits in like that. Now like I say, this is just roughly what it looked like before it all fell to bits. I don't know how to put it back together again. No instructions or anything. I'm no expert on it. It's like trying to work on a clock. I've never worked on a clock, and that's what this reminds me of, clockwork. So it's just, and I think there was a problem with it because the numbers weren't engaging, neither was the ratchet. So there could have been a worn part or something. But anyway, I just got another one. So the centre bit in there, centre screw stroke shaft in this old one, and it kind of like goes on, the bits go over the hub, like something like that, and this bit of metal, these bits there with the holes sort of line up with these doubles. It's really difficult to show you this. So you have these holes, oh no, line up with these doubles, that and that. I reckon it was something like that, and then it sort of goes over this centre shaft. And it was just an absolute nightmare to try and get this to lock up, because every time I picked it up, that centre screw kept falling out. It was really, it felt like just picking it up and throwing it off that wall. I was really getting annoyed. And I just, you know, I searched for ages online trying to find some sort of guidance. I couldn't find anything. And there was one video I did find, but unfortunately the quality, I couldn't really make out what was going on. So it didn't help me, so I couldn't. I was stuck. I just had to get another. At the time, I got a headache trying to figure out how all this adjusts up. It's just not worth the hassle. It just wasn't worth the hassle. I said, come on, I'm just going to get another one. So I've done that. I've got the other one sitting there. I could fit that on the bike. But the cable, I believe, goes in something like that. So we'll have to put this down to try and show you. A very rudimentary demonstration, because I'm not going to spend any more time on it, but somehow the cable kind of goes through there, so when you're flicking these levers, like, I'm not going to do it on this one because it's off, but when you flick the levers to change gear, it must pull this white thing that engages with the other centre gear there, which that centre gear then engages with this black display gear, which displays the gear that you're in, and there's this plastic window bit that goes over as well. That was fun. I just kept falling everywhere. So I don't know just how it all goes together. That's the problem, I don't. So I just had to, just got another one. And the top bit, as you could probably, there's the door. Okay, it was just the door. Yeah, this just, it was an absolute nightmare. That goes on sort of. There's 3 screws as well and everything. So the problem is you've got 3 Phillips screws that go in there. Which are in there. You might see them. The silver screws. And that plastic bit I'll be reusing because it's not in the new one. The plastic, you know, the cap bit that goes on the end. I'll be putting that on this, for the old one off of there, onto the new one, because it's not on there. That just stops dirt and stuff getting in, water and dirt. So this is the old one, kind of went like that, but the problem was it was a nightmare, because every time I picked it up and tried to, you know, put it together, that centre screw just kept falling at the bottom. I could have taped it up, but there was no point, because I didn't really know the setup inside, how it all gears up. It's got to be adjusted correctly. But the 3 screws, silver screws, go in at each there, and there. Obviously on the other side, the shaft stroke screw, you have to, you know, put an Allen key there to turn that, to lock it. This whole thing, I get this whole assembly together. But it was, you know, you get a rough idea what it looks like anyway. So that I could show you what I mean. So I was picking it up to do that, and then the centre screw just kept falling out, and everything inside would just go all over the place. That was an absolute nightmare. I just felt like picking up and smashing it off that wall. I was really getting annoyed with it. So I couldn't, as I say, I searched online to get some sort of help and guidance. My dad was busy. There was no way I was going to. He had plenty. He still got. You know, he was busy. I wasn't going to dump this on him as well. You know, and I said, no, Kim, what? I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to get another one. So I've done it. That's it there. I could fit that on. And then, as I say, right from the start of this video, this is what I'm doing. This is not how you do it or anything. This is just videos for viewing purposes, entertainment purposes only. So don't quote me on it. This is just what I'm doing. So if I make an arse of it, so be it. It's my bike, my video, and it's just for viewing. I'm making it clear, this is not what I'm recommending you do. I'm just, as I say, I'm not going to take, you know, I'm not saying this is how it's to be done. I couldn't find any guidance, so I just had to do what I could to get it to work, you know, and some of it worked. I don't know, I can't even mind the last time I changed the gear cable on that bike. Well, I must have done something right, because it's worked. It's got to be, you know, it just simply goes through there. I didn't want to go and upset this new one, that cable staying in there. I think I'm just going to use it to keep this cable as a spare one. So, anyway, that's inside the gear selector. That's what I mean, by the way. You know, that was so annoying. I just kept everything. I tried to balance everything up, just to seal it up with this top cover. You know, I lock it all up, sandwich it all up, and every time I was about to bout it up, this would just fall right at the bottom. It upset everything, and then that's when I just wanted to done it umpteen times, you know, in a desperate vein to get this to assemble, and I just wanted to smash it off that wall. I was getting really, you know, and I just went online, had a look for ages to try and find something, came across a video. The quality wasn't really sufficient for me to see exactly what was going on. I just switched it off and ordered a new one, and that was it, and there's a new one. So there you go. I don't know how you're meant to put this bloody thing together, so I'll keep it for reference anyway, and maybe if I money a project or something, I can maybe have another go at it and see how it all goes together on another day. As I say, it might have been faulty anyway. I don't know just if it was really working correctly, because like I say, before I opened it I put the cable in and it wasn't engaging, so something's not right. So I tried to open it to try and figure out what the heck was going on. I didn't realise it was all this, that it would just come apart like that. I've never opened one of them before. I took the screws off, the 3 Phillips screws there, silver ones, off the top, you know, the 3 holes there. I took this one out, and then when I took this out, the thing just came apart. Nice surprise, eh? So I had no idea as to how it went back together. As I say, I wasn't going to dump this on my dad as well. He was busy doing other things, and I wasn't going to, because he would probably figure this out right enough. But I didn't want to give him this as well on top, give him another headache. You know, he had plenty to do, so I just cut my losses and got this new one. Anyway, right, let's get this onto the bike and see what happens next. So anyway, I just thought I'd show you that anyway. That was a development that happened, an unpleasant development from what should have been a straightforward job. Turned out to be a nightmare. So I'm going to show you. I showed you that. So I'm going to now show you the bike and how I fit it. What I'm going to do to fit it to my bike. And the tools, I've kept them here. They've sat here just now. It's Phillips. Allen keys. That's for the small gear, which I won't be touching. So I really just need this Allen key to put the unit, to fit this unit back onto the handlebars in the right orientation and also at the right angle. Now there's a couple of things I'll show you on the bike. I temporarily assembled it so I could use it just minus the gears, just to get me to the shops and stuff. But I'll show you what I've done regarding that as well. Now, so like I just said, I put this kind of temporary back together again. It was an absolute nightmare getting this bit off, the rubber for the handlebars. That was a pain in the neck, absolute pain in the neck. But then I realised, well, I looked down and I saw this tin of WD-40. It was tucked in there, and I just sort of had a thought. I said, right, come on, I'll do it. I'll spray some of it, you know, down by the, because this was off and moved out of the way, so I put some WD-40 down there, and what I'd done then was basically done that and just worked it off, you know, twisted it off, and it came off. So I'll show you like the reversal stuff when I put it on, and that's just this elastic band, by the way, in case you're wondering. I might have shown you before. I came up with well, I don't know if anybody else has done it or not. I'm not going to claim this is my idea, but what I will claim is I thought about doing this to my bike, and I've done it ever since. I don't know if anybody else does it, so I'm not claiming to be an invention, but it's a handbrake basically. All it does is it locks this rear brake on. It's just to stop the bike rolling away when I lean it against a wall or something. It just keeps the back wheel locked, so it keeps it from moving. I thought of it, and I'd done it. I don't know who else has done it before or prior or after or whatnot, so I'm not claiming to say this is my invention and not doing that. I'm just saying that I didn't have any preconceived ideas about this beforehand. I just thought about it and done it. So I don't know if anybody else has done it before me or not, but that was an idea that I came up with for my bike, and it works. So if you have problems with your bike, you know, if you're balancing it against a wall or something, and it just annoys you when it does that, get elastic bands, 2 of them, double them up and do that, and it works. So just thought I'd mention. Right, So they're moving the bull bars, they were all after. I bought the bike and I got them specified at the time I bought it. They didn't come as standard, they came after. To remove that, it's an Allen key. Now it's difficult because I'm filming. The Allen key, you need an Allen key to remove this. That's the where you want to put it. You just anti-clockwise turn it. I never put them on tight. You don't have to take the clamp off, you just slacken it and slide it off. And that gets that off the handlebars. Which means now you could then, or I should say what I'm going to do, I could now slacken off the gear. Same thing, same Allen key. I can't remember the size of Allen key. Honestly can't. I might have mentioned before earlier in the other part of the video. The first part I done a while ago. I had to wait a few days, probably about a week actually, for the bit. So it's just picking up from there. So I can't even remember if I told you the size on it or not. But what you do is if you've got Allen keys, just get the one that'll fit, and then that's what I've done. I'm no mechanic. Mechanics seem to know the sizes for some reason. They seem to tell you, oh, it's that size right away, but I don't know that. Anyway, slackened it off, slide it off the handlebars, just slide it out of the way. Next thing to do, the next thing I'm going to do, if you want to copy what I'm doing, you might not want to do that, but just to say this video is only for entertainment purposes only, so don't quote me. So, might help. Now, it might help if you put it on the right way, of course. Wouldn't that be a nice start? So obviously it's sided. This is the left side of the bike. As you, in contrast, you can see all the other one fits. That's the 1 to 8 selector for the derailleur at the back of the bike. So it shifts the gears and it derails the chain off of the gears using that shifter. So the cable runs up the bike into this trigger system here. Numbers buggered on this one, has been for years. I just haven't got around to changing it. Certainly I'm not going to open this up to change it unless I've got proper instructions and about 10 years worth of patience and, you know, put it all together again. So I'd probably just buy a new one. If somebody's good at these tinking around with wee bits, then maybe for another day. But anyway, just so that you know, this has got to be sided. It must be on the, you must get the right side when you buy it. It's left hand side and it's got to be 3. Because there's 3 gears at the front. That's the shifter there that derails the chain off the gears at the front. That gives the bike a total speed of 24 gears. Right, so on with this. So I'm doing it with my left hand. I'm right-handed. I'm holding the camera with my right hand, so I'm not really I'm going to have to, I'm afraid I'm going to have to just put this down and do this and just go through it in steps. I can't really, if I had 2 pairs of hands then I could film and do this at the same time. But you're getting an idea what I mean now. So you don't need to tighten it up too much until you get it all adjusted to the right angles that you want. Once you've got all this set, what I mean is, you know, that's comfortable for me to have it at this angle and comfortable to have the gear shifts at that angle for this side. So you would just do the same. You tighten it to a point where you can still move it. And once you get it all balanced and like that, then you just torque them down with the Allen key. So that's the selector on anyway. I'm going to now feed the cable through the cable sheathing, which better still be there and not been lost, because it's sat for a while with the bits. It is still there, that's good. And by the way, the Allen key, should you want to know, 3/16. In fact, what I'll do is I'll turn that light off. Yeah, you might just make that out. That's where it come out of. All I've done is just went through them, got one that fitted, that'll do, and then just done the job. I'm not a mechanic. Mechanics seem to always just, the ones I know, they seem to look at it and say, oh, that's a certain size, oh, that's a 17, get that or whatever. They just seem to have this, because of the experience, they could just tell by looking. So I wish I had that gift. And no mechanic. And no bike mechanic either. As much as I would like to be. Now, the insulation, I think it was like that, because that's got the curve in it, that'll be at the top. That goes into this bit of the frame. So, to be routed correctly, I think it would be better if it went there. Remember the best way these cables all go, so they're not getting in the way of each other. And I've got to put this insulation, the cable through the insulation, so I'm going to do that now. It's actually sheathing, if you like. So you just feed in the cable through the hole there on the insulation, or on the sheathing. What I've done is I've just kind of like temporarily tightened them up. Just, you know, it's not overly tight, still just tight enough to hold them in place, but not, you know, slack enough so I can move them by hand, just to adjust it up before I really torque them up. So I've kind of like, I've just simply fed the cable through the sheathing, the plastic insulation sheathing, or outer cable if you like. The other end of the outer cable just goes in to the adjuster end. This is the adjuster on the selector, that just goes in, it houses into there. I could get it to focus to show you. Yeah, just houses in there. And the part in the cable routing is sort of kind of like how I remember it. So as long as it didn't interfere with anything else. And now the other end of this cable, as I mentioned earlier, it goes through the bottom bit. There's a hole that it could go through. There, it goes under the bike, through that guide. And once it goes through the guide, it comes out that hole there, which comes up to the selector clamp here, which is slackened. The end of the cable then goes through there. If I could show you the blooming thing. Yeah, there we go. And then you just clamp it down with this Allen key. I'll show you all that in a minute once I've fed this cable through. Well, that's good. I've touched the chain. I've got my hands all covered in black oil now. How nice. And then I'll touch the wallpaper when I lean against it and put marks all over there, and then when I touch my clothes I'll get covered in bloody oil. That's the thing about working on a bike. It's messy when you've got an oily chain. It's inevitable you're going to touch that, obviously. Once your hands are covered in it, everything you handle from there on in gets covered in oil as well. You want to scratch yourself in the face, you get covered in oil. It's just, I couldn't really become a mechanic, it's just too much pain in the... I like learning how to work, but I'm no bike expert, not a mechanic. Anyway, enough of that. The cable obviously is excessively long, so you just trim it. Use cutters. I used the needle nose pliers, the bits there that cut this cable. So what I'm trying to do now is just get this underneath the clamp and then torque it down. So the cable has fed through these holes on the underside of the bike. You can maybe just hopefully see that. So the one to the left, the one nearest you, is the 1 to 3 selector. The other cable goes to the right along to the back wheel of the bike to adjust the gears on the back gear, the back wheel, the 8 gears on the back wheel. Same route kind of thing, same idea. It just follows the same sort of theme for the right hand selector, which was originally shown 1 to 8. But display's broke on that one, but I'm not bothered with that at the moment, so I'm going to now just clamp this down. So what I've done actually, I needed both hands. I just used these. I held it in position like that with the needle nose pliers, and on the other end with my other hand, I used the Allen key on the long lever bit so I could torque it a bit. I just tighten it. So that is this clamp plate here is clamping on the cable. It looks as though it's kind of like really has clamped it pretty well. Yeah. So that's how I've done it anyway. I don't know if it goes under there or what. I think that lip there, I think this metal bit there if I could show you the thing. It's not very easy because I'm not very comfortable in this angle. But that bit I think is just lipping down like that to prevent this plate from turning. I think that's where the cable's supposed to go. So when you clamp down on this Allen key, it locks this plate down onto this bit here, and that bit that's coming down at an angle is just doing that to stop this plate from rotating. And while I was tightening it, I made sure I just pulled the cable. There was a bit of pressure on it, so this is, well, it's got to be fairly tight, I would assume. There is a bit of adjustment on here. You turn this and that basically lengthens it, you know, contracts and lengthens depending on what you turn it to take up the slack. So that will adjust. I've not actually got the bike on the run yet, so I don't know if I don't know if I should have done that tighter or what. Judging from the other side, maybe I could do a wee tightening that up a bit more. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to slacken that off again and just put a wee bit more tension on here, because to me I think that might be maybe just a bit slack, so I'm going to do that now. What I've done is I held this end, I pulled it up with the pliers with one hand, and with the other hand I was tightening it down. So there is a bit more tension on here. Maybe I should do more. I don't know. Maybe I should just get on the bike, try it first before I mean I'll snip obviously the excessive, like this cable would be universal for the back. It's got to stretch at the back of the bike as well. This cable will be for front derailleur and rear derailleur. That's why it's so long. So I'll cut it to melt here, so I've got some leeway, you know, for adjustment and stuff. So I'll cut it there, and I'll put that connector block bit on the end as well that I showed you in the first part of the video, or earlier on in the video, because I'll probably just make this video one part. I've just tidied it up a bit, I've cut it down. That's very sharp, that's why I put the connector block at the end, because I don't like that sharp bit just left like that. But I'll do that later. I'm going to get my shoes on, get out in the bike, and test it. And then once I've tested it, I could then just lock this up. Then again, I'll probably need to take this off again, will I? So I might as well just do that now before I go on the bike. Yeah, I'll do that now. Bugger it. There's no point in taking it out like that. Right, where's the grips? Right, there we go. It's in my pocket. So, to get this on, what I'm going to do is you put it on like that. It's an absolute nightmare. It's tight as anything. So, instead of that, I'm going to spray a wee bit of the WD-40 on here, just a wee bit, and then that'll help get this handlebar grip on. That's all it is, it's just rubber. It's worn, it's original, so there is wear and tear on it, but... So I don't know what all this is. Don't know what all that is, all that numbers and lettering is. No idea. Don't even know what, in fact I'm just looking at it now. I don't even know what it is. Anyway. Right, let's get this bit of spray on there. So, I just basically twisted it on right to there. Sprayed a bit more WD-40. I don't know how it reacts with this rubber. Come on, I just passed getting it. I've used WD-40, I don't know if you meant that or not. But it aided to get it on. It made it easier for me to get on, so there you go, it's on. I've used it. See what happens after it. Hopefully it won't react with the rubber, cause any problems. That's a hope not, eh? But anyway, there's no way I was going to get that on without putting something on. You could use soapy water, but I wasn't going to go to that hassle. WD-40 sitting there, just use that. Right, I've not tightened all this down yet. What I'm doing at the moment is I'm just getting this all adjusted up to the comfortable level. So I'm just going to tighten this up gently, get it all adjusted to the comfortable position, and then I'll torque it up, tighten it up fully. Right, so I've got this on. I've got it to roughly as balanced as I'm going to get it. Everything on the left hand side seems to balance up with the right hand side. So all the angles, this is all angled correctly. and I've tightened them up. Now, what I've done to tighten them, what I've done is just, for example, this one here, it's tightened anyway, but I'm just going to show you. I used the long bit because it's enough leverage and there's enough clearance to do that. So once it started to nip, once it started to feel it getting tighter, I just gave it just a couple of nips. That was all. Nothing to it. I didn't pure wrenching it like that, fully, like blooming Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, nothing like that. You're not pure wrenching it to, you know, it doesn't have to be that tight, hitting it with a hammer and all that shit. You didn't need to do that. I didn't hate it. All I'd done was once it started to get tight, just a couple of nips, like that, just like that, and that was it. Just so that it's tight, really tight, but not stupid tight. You know, you're pure like that. Didn't hate to do that. And it was the same with the one on here as well for the what do you call it? The left-hand brake lever assembly. You know, the silver Allen key, silver screw at the bottom there. So I got it there and just gave it just a couple of torques. Just nip it, that was it. So it doesn't move. And for the bill bar, same scenario. Quite self-explanatory. You like to tighten up a screw. Make sure it's all lined up. Now, oh yeah, don't forget I forgot to mention that, but it's already in there, the plastic cap. It's just a Phillips screwdriver that goes in there to lock that in. There wasn't really much of a thread in there anyway, but it's not going to come out because this bolt here. But it's just all that plastic bit there, that plastic cup or set of screw. All it does is stop dirt and stuff getting into the mechanism for the trigger gear shift. So obviously to access that, you'd have to just simply slacken the selector, as I showed you earlier in the video, and just slide it down so you get access to get into there to get the cable out. Should have been a straightforward job, but turned out to be an absolute. So not the way I wanted it to turn out. It turned out to be an even bigger job. Change the whole gear selector. So I just got to put the wee connector block bit on the end of there. That's what I use. I mean, okay, now and again it's going to hit. It doesn't really hit the paint much, but that's ideally. If it was in the reason I took the plastic bit off is because there was an issue, I had problems with it. I can't remember, but I took the insulation off the connector block anyway and just used this bit here. There was a reason for it. I can't mind why I done that, to be honest, but this has worked for years. That's the way I'm doing it, and I'm just going to keep doing it that way. All I want to do is put that on there. It's just a flat screwdriver. All it is, this flat screwdriver, all it does is tighten these screws to lock itself onto the end of this gear cable to get rid of that sharp edge, because that gear cable end was quite sharp. It could even, well, I don't know, maybe not. It could puncture the, well, it's not nice anyway. You don't want that brushing against anything sharp. So just to get rid of the sharp edge, I just put this on. That was my idea. I don't know if anybody else does that. That's what I thought about doing it and I'd done it. So that's what I've been doing. Right, I'm going to get on the bike and try it, see what it goes. So when I go out on the bike to try it, I'm going to take the Allen key with me, just in case I need to adjust the wheel bar, the handlebar, you know, the left hand brake lever and the gear cable. Because once I'm on the bike, I'll know exactly how it feels. And if I need to adjust it, just, you know, move it up. I've got this with me to do that. I'll also have the adjuster on the bike. This adjuster on the gear selector, you know, to turn. I can just turn that by hand. And that'll either sort of kind of like effectively lengthens or shortens the insulation. When it lengthens the insulation, it's basically putting more, it's giving the cable more distance it's got to travel. In other words, it's rubbing against the slack of the cable. Because when you're lengthening this sheath, when you tighten that, or whatever way, when you're adjusting this, it's effectively lengthening the sheath that the cable's got to go through. But the cable's length isn't changing. It's just, if it's too slack, right, the length of the cable will remain the same. But all that's happening is when you're lengthening the sheath, it's putting more friction. It's taking the extra friction because the cable is a fixed length, whether it be too long or too short. If it's too slack, right, and you're lengthening this by adjusting that, it's effectively taking up the slack because it's rubbing the cable against the inside of this sheath, because it's then therefore going to take up the slack. It's going to cause friction. It's going to get rid of the slack. I don't know, that's roughly what I understand of it. But if you shorten this sheath, it's putting no resistance. The cable's just going to go right through it. And if it's slack, it will remain slack. But if you lengthen it, the sheath's going to get longer, which is going to basically effectively tighten the cable, if you like, because it's rubbing against the side. If this is getting longer while the cable's remaining the same, it's going to start eventually rubbing against, because the position of the cable is not changing, and neither is the positioning of the sheathing. So the extra length of the sheathing is going to then rub against the cable, which will take up the slack. If it takes up the slack, that will make the cable seem tighter. Therefore, you'll be able to adjust and calibrate the gears. And if you want to, as I say, do the opposite and shorten this sheathing by adjusting this cable, it just gives the cable an easy route to go, which takes it takes the pressure off of the cable, and therefore it'll allow the cable to slacken again, or slacken more. So if you need to slacken it or tighten it, you just turn this, and it's only a very fine movement. So that's my understanding of it. As I say, don't quote me on it. This is only for viewing and entertainment purposes only, and that's my understanding of how it works. And that's what I've said. So there you go. I'm going to get on the bike and try it out and see how that goes and report back. Right. So I'm quite happy with that. It works fine. Gears work fine. I tried them all, even though I tried the back one. I must have changed that cable at some point. I've also changed the back one as well because it's got the connector block on it. And the one that I replaced had a connector block on it. So yeah, can't remember the last time I'd done it, but I didn't have that problem with the selector, the gear selector. Well, on this occasion I did. That's why I had to replace it. So I ordered it online and got it anyway. So it seems to be working well. It might be the fault with that anyway. I mean, that selector could have been faulty anyway. It shouldn't have done that. I never came across that issue the last time I done it. So it is the originals. It's probably, and it. I didn't break the bike to buy it. So put it this way, it saved me a lot of hassle just getting that new unit and fitting it, and then try to figure out how to repair that. That might do that one, the old one, as a project. In the future, I might tinker around if I feel like it. I've got a spare brake cable now because this is the one I bought from Halfords, but the unit that I got there online had a cable in it already, so I've got a spare brake cable as well. But yeah, it's running well. I just took it up the road back. I didn't go far, but it works perfectly well. I didn't even need to adjust the gears either. So there is a lot of things you could do to adjust them, by the way, which I'll show you. All the settings and handlebars were all good. All adjustments were fine. Comfortable to use. Didn't need to readjust anything there. I didn't need to use any adjustment on the selector bit. I didn't have to adjust that. It was working fine. The selector was working okay. You could adjust this as well. So if the throw on this was going too far out or not coming out far enough, there's adjusting screws on the top. If you could see them, they actually are kind of shitted up. They're filthy. I haven't had to adjust it for ages, but can't even make out what type of screw it is if it's a Phillips. I'm not going to brush all that shit onto the carpet. I'm just going to not disturb that just now, but that's your adjuster screws there anyway. And whatever, it's self-explanatory. You'll look at them, you'll know whether it's an Allen key or a flat key. I just didn't want to. I think it's a flat actually. Well, maybe a Phillips, but I really should clean them. But I'm not doing it just now. Can't be bothered. I'm not going to brush all that crap onto the carpet neither. So, but to adjust it anyway, that's for your throw. So if it's coming out too far, you would just tighten the screw. Basically limits how far that goes out. And if it's going in too far, if this is going in too far, starting rubbing against the chain, tighten that one, and it will either pull it out a bit or move it in. And no bugging around with adjustments on there, it's working fine, so they're staying the way they are. I'm not going to mess around with that. The rear, similar thing, you can adjust this as well. If it's not reaching the gears, if it's not coming across enough, you adjust that one, I think, or if it's vice versa, if it's not going up to this, you could tinker around with these two adjusters to get it to. That's what I done anyway. I had a problem, I think, but and I just buggered around with adjustments, and somehow the gears managed to calibrate up, and it works. But that's the adjuster screws. There's an adjuster screw here as well. I don't know what that is. I'm not going to mess around with anything with it. I don't know. Everything's working okay here, so I don't need to bugger around with that. This cable is getting a wee bit, seen better days. It's still working at the moment, but I have changed this before. That's a locking screw bolt, so you actually use a hexagonal spanner to clamp this cable into here. So it's the same procedure, more or less. You've got this other bit of sheathing. Feed the cable. It's the same drill, although albeit it's on the other side, and it's an 80 speed as well. So same scenario, plastic cap. You have to obviously adjust this down, slacking off this screw, Allen key rather. So this unit comes down, so you can access into here. So you take the plug out, feed the cable through, the old one out rather, and then you feed the new one in through the sheathing, following the same route as before, down through the setup there, if you could see that. If we get it in camera view for you, hopefully you see where the cables are going. And it just runs along the frame, the rear bit of the frame. Same drill through the scenario, through the sheathing here. This sheathing here, by the way, there's an opening like this, so you could slide the cable in and out. That's how you get into it, and it's like that on this end as well. I don't know what they're called, but you might make it out where it's open, so where the cable will go through. This again feeds through into here. Cable goes around this bit, that's the important bit, and then comes. The route kind of like, if I could show you, the cable routes round there and comes out. If this thing will just go and focus, for goodness sake, focus, will you? No, I know how I'll show you it, but it does kind of route down there anyway, and it comes out. You need to clamp it to lock the cable to this. Basically, all the cable's doing is doing that. That's all it's doing. That's what the cable does. It just adjusts this. It moves all this mechanism here. It causes the chain to derail. So, and these stops, again, these adjuster stops, just limits the movement. So, if it's moving too far out or too far in, you adjust them. I'm not going to bugger around with them because it's working okay at the moment. As I say, I'm no bike expert. When I had difficulty with getting gears, I basically just messed around with them till it works, and it seems to be working at the moment. So that's the bit of the rear cable. That's the rear brake cable. That bit on the end with the gear cable, it's a wee bit different. I don't know how. I think you crimp that on or something. Can't even remember if I've changed the rear cable on this bike. I really can't remember. But I've obviously done both gear cables. That's the makeshift setup I've used, just to, because if that wasn't there, all this sharp metal would be not very nice to be left, you know, just left open, because it could scratch people or scratch things. I don't like the idea of that, so I just put all this on it. Crimps the end, keeps all this frayed cable together, and it just does the job for me anyway. The chain's filthy. I mean, as I say, I don't have specific oils for the bike. I just use whatever I've got. I'm not a bike professional, I can assure you of that. if it works for me, I just use it. And what I done is I just simply used the same oil I put in my car. I just simply poured a little bit on, got a toothbrush and just put it on like that. It seems to work. So the only problem is it attracts a lot of dirt, and if you rub your clothes against that, it'll stain it big time. That's the only downside of it. I do have a trouser clip that prevents any loose clothing from going on that chain, which is up there somewhere. I'll show you that. But I just used the engine oil, basically. I know an expert. People will use, professionals will use the right oil and all that. I didn't have it. I've got a car. I've got oil. Oil, if it could lubricate an engine, it could lubricate gear on a bike. Okay, I know that it'll trap dirt and dust and shit like that. Well, the oil I used before, I think it was 3-in-1. That was pretty messy as well. And then for some reason I started spraying WD-40. That really not what you would use, because WD-40 is a degreaser, so you're actually taking the oil off. What I really should be doing is spraying the chain with this stuff. Degrease it all. Or spray it with WD-40 and degrease it all, clean the thing up and put some nice fresh oil in it. Because I think eventually the oil, if it attracts dirt, stones and sand, it wears down the metal. These are the original gears for this bike for 16.5 years. Same chain, same gear, same everything. It's the original bike. The only thing I've changed is tyres and gear cables. Maybe the brake cable, if I could remember right. I can't remember if I've or not, but everything else is original, apart from the rear light. That was the only thing I changed, and the computer. This. Everything else is the magnet and the wire sensors are all original. Just that because there was a problem with the original one. Everything else is fared up well. I don't do a great deal of miles on my bike anyway. So that's it. I better not lean on that, eh? Hands are filthy. So that's it. Job done as far as I'm concerned. The video was only just to show you how I done it. I'll make it clear. I'm not saying that's how you should do it. I'm not saying that you should oil your bike with engine oil. I done it. That's what I done. That seems to be working. So don't quote me on it. You're probably meant to go and get the right grade of oil from the bike shop and all that stuff. I didn't get around to doing that. If a bike was brand new, I think I used the proper oil and stuff for the first few years, and then that ran out. Then I used 3-in-1 oil. That seemed to work. That ran out. Then I sprayed it with WD-40. I shouldn't have, but I did. It worked for a bit. Then it dries out as soon as any water. It just basically starts. I was experimenting. It's not really going to do the job. It's a temporary fix. You've got to lubricate it. WD-40 does the exact opposite. It degreases. It lubricates for a bit in order to slacken something off. And then once it's done, it evaporates, it degreases. It evaporates and takes off it's a solvent or something. But I'll put it this way, the gears have survived all this time with all the shit I've lubricated onto it. It seems to be working. So the other bit, the selector bit on the front, again, to lubricate that, I just put a bit of engine oil onto the bits that move. It's synthetic, 10W40 Halfords synthetic 10W40 engine oil. That's what I put in my car, and put it in there on the bike, and it's working. So that's it. There you go. As I say, the video is only for viewing purposes only. Don't quote me on this is how you're supposed to do it, because I'm not claiming that. I'm not claiming that at all. I'm just showing you how I'm doing it with my bike and how I done it. That's all. And if you do have a bike similar and you mimic what I've done, copy me, and it works for you, then great. Then that's good. That's good. That'll be a bonus. If you just want to watch it for entertainment, then that's what it was about. Right, I'm going to just round the video off. I hope you enjoyed it. It was done in like 2 parts. You know, I'll probably just keep it all in one. I had to wait about a week or so to get the part, so I can't even remember the continuity of the video. I'm enjoying the bike now, so I'll get some more videos done with going out on cycles and stuff in due course. Right, see what else about my channel, and I'll see you later on. Bye for now. Bye.